You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's Wednesday, February 17, 2021. We have updates from our correspondents across North and Central America. Thomas Likeness from Edmonton, Alberta.
The pandemic has helped Canada's housing market.
Mayanne Manzano-Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey governor extends public health emergency, gives update on vaccinations, and the winter storm warnings issued across the state.
Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Department of Labor and Industry warns Pennsylvanians to remain vigilant against unemployment funding fraud.
And Randy Bayuga in Pearisburg, Ohio.
Ohio Department of Health to set up virtual town halls.
Angel Membrere in Sacramento tells us of mass vaccination sites opening across California as the state distributes 5 million doses of COVID-19 jabs. Don Omar Cuevas in Little Rock reports about Arkansas winter storm expected to bring additional 4 to 8 inches of snow, prompting state employees to work from home. Nanita Manawis in Dallas shares with us reactions of North Texas residents to the major ice storm happening there. May Davila tells us about several child shelters in Panama under investigation for abuse. For EBC Sports, Michael Hudson in Seattle reports about NBA legend Michael Jordan celebrating his 58th birthday. Kenny Sumagi reports about James Harden and the Nets' epic comeback against the Phoenix Suns. Plus, if time permits, for a roundtable discussion, it's National Cabbage Day. Let's talk about delicious cabbage creations. Our coverage begins now. First, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, February 17, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 109,678,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. still number 1 with more than 27.7 million, India with more than 10.9 million, Brazil has more than 9.9 million. To date, more than 2,423,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths with more than 488,000. Brazil is next with more than 240,000. Mexico has more than 175,000. For tonight's COVID news, during a virtual news conference, Pan American Health Organization Assistant Director Jarbas Barbosa says countries in the Americas should include indigenous populations in priority groups for vaccination efforts against COVID-19. Let's take a look.
Muy importante que se tenga en la región de las Américas proyectos de desarrollo de vacuna. Hay esos de Cuba, hay otros en Perú, hay otros en Brasil, hay en otros países de la región. Yo creo que eso es muy importante. Yes, we have recommended, and in many countries in the region, they have the indigenous population as a priority group. Some specificities in some countries we have indigenous population that are more integrated in the big cities. In other countries we have indigenous populations that have difficult to access health services, so they need to develop specific policies to reach out these communities. But
Mexican Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard asks the UN Security Council to guarantee equal access to COVID-19 vaccines.
Por eso reitero en nombre de la comunidad de Estados latinoamericanos y caribeños este llamado para acelerar el acceso a vacunas a COVAX, vía COVAX, y reducir el acaparamiento evidente que estamos enfrentando toda la comunidad internacional. Me parece que las medidas que se deben proponer es reconocer en primer lugar que el Consejo de Seguridad puede y debe desempeñar un papel activo y decisivo para que este objetivo que acabo de describir se pueda alcanzar.
The health ministry said late Tuesday the number of cases of COVID-19 in Mexico topped the 2 million mark with almost 176,000 dead. The ministry said in a statement in the previous 24 hours, the country recorded another 8,683 new infections, bringing the total to 2,004,575 confirmed cases. The ministry recorded 1,329 new deaths in the same period, bringing the total toll to 175,986 since the first case was diagnosed on February 27, 2020. In Colombia, as the country begins its immunization campaign against COVID-19, Colombian President Iván Duque says today, defeating the pandemic begins.
Hoy empieza un nuevo capítulo en lo que es la derrota de esta pandemia. Este capítulo empieza con la vacunación masiva, segura, eficaz y gratuita en el territorio nacional.
Nurse Veronica Machado was the first to receive a dose in hospital in the city of Sincelejo in the north of the country. Duque says Machado symbolizes heroism of frontliners, not only in Colombia, but across the globe.
Verónica Machado es hoy el símbolo de esos héroes y heroínas en Colombia y en el mundo que a lo largo de esta pandemia han logrado salvar vidas y han logrado estar siempre al frente de semejante reto.
Duque says Colombia's goal is to inoculate 35 million of its people against COVID-19 to develop herd immunity.
Que nosotros tenemos como propósito de país es vacunar 35 millones de colombianos para llegar al 70% de la población y desarrollar así una inmunidad colectiva.
President Cyril Ramaphosa was among the first to be inoculated Wednesday as South Africa launched its coronavirus vaccine campaign using Johnson & Johnson jabs after the rollout was delayed. South Africa earlier this month received 1 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca formula, but halted administering it over concerns it would not protect against a widespread variant. A nurse who works in a maternity ward at a hospital in Khayelitsha Township in Cape Town was the first to be immunized hours after the first batch of 80,000 doses landed in the country late Tuesday. She looked relaxed as she received the jab, which was broadcast on live television. After 5 healthcare workers got their jabs, it was Ramaphosa's turn. Before taking off his jacket and rolling up his white shirt's long sleeves for the injection, he asked the nurse who was administering the jab if there would be any side effects. German Health Minister Jens Spahn says the UK variant of the coronavirus is spreading rapidly in Germany, where it now accounts for almost a fifth of the cases.
Die Daten zeigen, dass sich die Mutationen auch in Deutschland stark ausbreiten. Besonders die Virusvariante, die das erste Mal im Vereinigten Königreich entdeckt worden ist, bereitet uns Sorge. Vor 2 Wochen machte diese Variante noch einen Anteil von knapp 6% der untersuchten Proben aus. Inzwischen sind es über 22%.
Spahn warns that this variant could dominate infections in the country.
Das heißt, wie auch schon in anderen Ländern beobachtet, verdoppelt sich der Anteil der Infektionen mit dieser Virusvariante ungefähr jede Woche. Wir müssen damit rechnen, dass die Variante bald auch bei uns die dominierende werden könnte.
Spahn says that by March this year, the country will be able to offer free antigen tests to those who need it.
nun haben wir im Januar die Erfahrung machen können, dass deutlich mehr Schnelltests zur Verfügung stehen, als tatsächlich auch abgerufen worden sind. Und das macht möglich, den nächsten Schritt zu gehen, nämlich ab März jedem, der möchte, auch einen Antigen-Schnelltest anbieten zu können. Kostenlos für den Einzelnen, natürlich nicht.
The rise comes despite Germany partially closing its borders in an attempt to stem the spread of the new variants. In Japan, the country launched its coronavirus vaccination program Wednesday, 5 months ahead of the Tokyo Olympics, as the World Health Organization reported a drop in new cases around the world. The same day, Australia and New Zealand ended snap lockdowns after they successfully brought small outbreaks under control in just days, suggesting that despite their unpopularity, movement restrictions remain vital tools against the pandemic. Japan kicked off its inoculation drive at a Tokyo hospital with a plan to initially give Pfizer-BioNTech shots to 40,000 healthcare workers. The country is battling a much more limited outbreak compared with hard-hit countries such as the United States and Britain. But its response is being closely watched around the world as doubts swirl over the postponed Tokyo Olympics due to start July 23rd. Organizers have outlined measures they say will keep the games safe even without requiring participants to be vaccinated or quarantined on arrival. But there are fears among the Japanese public and experts that the precautions may not be enough for a global event, even as the World Health Organization on Tuesday reported a slowing of the pandemic. Based on figures up to Sunday, new infections worldwide fell by 16% last week, while the number of new deaths also dropped 10% week on week. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said Monday, "The fire is not out, but we have reduced its size." When we come back, updates from Edmonton, Alberta, and New Jersey. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Happy peeps! Keep on watching Happy Time from Monday to Friday at 12 noon, only here on Net25.
Happy time, happy time.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor attack.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
For News America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Tonight, let's find out how the COVID-19 pandemic has helped Canada's real estate industry. In Edmonton, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness reports. Thomas.
Thank you, Ace. Well, real estate agents across the country, they're smiling these days as home buyers line up to purchase a limited supply of homes. Now, January is normally a slow month, probably the slowest of the year, extremely slow for real estate. But this year, buyers have been turning out in full force, pushing up house prices to record high levels. Now, why is this? Well, there's a number of factors. First, a lot of people are working from home, and people living in downtown condos, quite often they lack the space to accommodate a home office, and they're making the move to buy a house. And they're often looking at smaller communities near the big cities because, well, for a long time, the prices were lower in the small towns, but those prices aren't staying low. According to a Royal Bank economic report in Ontario, parts of Quebec and the Atlantic provinces, prices have gone up in these small communities by more than 20%. Also driving the sales, record low interest rates. Mortgages are suddenly affordable. You know, I remember when I bought my first house back in the 1980s, interest rates at that time, 13%. Today, you can find interest rates in Canada as low as 1.5%. And people have a lot more money in the bank. You know, when you work from home, you spend less, and many people reined in their spending during lockdown. That put more money into savings accounts, and guess what? Now they can afford that down payment for a house. This is all good news for people selling their homes, but for buyers, well, they're finding themselves picking through a much smaller selection of homes. Inventories are lower. Demand right now is outstripping supply, especially in those smaller markets we talked about a bit earlier. There is one segment of the market that isn't doing well, and that's condos. Condo sales, except in the largest cities, remain flat, and in some cases, prices have actually dropped. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Thomas. Is this what we call the seller's market?
It is definitely a seller's market. If you put that for sale sign out front, you should be able to make some money.
But are the homeowners cashing in on this and putting up a for sale sign, though?
Well, no, they're not, actually. And this is part of what's driving prices up. Homeowners are hanging on to what they have. New real estate listings were way down when you compare this January to a year earlier in January. People just aren't in a big rush to downsize these days. And this is one of the reasons, like I said, why prices have jumped. Now, part of that could have been because of the lockdown measures that were reimposed in many parts of the country. You can put the for sale sign out, but it's very difficult to show a home when you have stay-at-home orders. But for those who decide to sell, well, it's going to be a big payday, and it's going to be a tax-free one, too, since in Canada, there's no capital gain when you sell your principal residence. Ace?
I agree. I believe people are just being cautious nowadays, considering the situation we're in.
They are. And the other thing, too, is, again, so many people are working at home. You don't want to be doing your office work on the kitchen table because that's the only place you have to put a laptop. So if you got a house, and we feel very blessed here because we've got enough space where I can have a full studio and it's far away from where I live and yet in the same house. And that's what people want. But if you're in a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, you're living at the office.
That's
Ace?
right. Thank you so much, Thomas Likeness, Edmonton, Alberta.
You take care, Ace, and stay safe.
You as well. With various grants and fundings being made available to individuals, families, and business owners to help them recover from the impact of the pandemic, Pennsylvania's Department of Labor and Industry warns residents to remain vigilant against unemployment funding fraud. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan joins us tonight with the details. Myla.
Thanks, Ace, and hello to all our viewers. With the availability of additional federal unemployment program funding, Department of Labor and Industry, or L&I, Acting Secretary Jennifer Barrier, and Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, or OAG Chief Deputy Attorney General Brian Zarallo, urged Pennsylvanians to remain vigilant against fraud. Take a look.
Unfortunately, this influx of new federal money is once again attracting fraudsters who are seeking to prey on claimants across the country, including in Pennsylvania. Since implementing the program extensions in the Commonwealth last month, fraudsters have been ramping up their efforts to try and steal some of this funding. Specifically, fraudsters are focusing again on the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, also known as PAHO. And these fraudsters are very bold in their attempts to steal personally identifiable information from Pennsylvanians. In fact, recently, fraudsters created Facebook pages that looked very similar to Labor and Industry's real Facebook page. They then tried to trick people into providing their personal and confidential information. We are also aware of instances where scammers reach out directly to an individual who posts or tweets something about Pennsylvania's unemployment programs, and they falsely identify themselves as a Labor and Industry employee who is trying to help them. But all they really want to get is that Pennsylvanian's personally identifiable information.
Fraudsters have been stepping up their efforts to gather Pennsylvanians' personal information, including usernames, passwords, unemployment compensation, personal identification numbers or PINs, and social security numbers. The goal of these scammers is to create fraudulent unemployment program claims or log into existing claims and redirect unemployment benefits payments. While many of these fraudulent claims are filed using information obtained in previous non-governmental data breaches, LNI has observed fraudsters trying to obtain personal and confidential information from Pennsylvanians through phishing or spoofing attempts. These fraudsters are contacting intended victims by calling, texting, emailing, or messaging via social media. They're also posing as LNI or other government entities or groups to help claimants with issues so they can gather their personal and confidential information. Or they're pretending to be unemployment claimants on Facebook or Twitter and offering to help legitimate claimants with their issues via phone or email with the goal of stealing their personally identifiable information. Pennsylvanians are reminded that LNI never contacts anyone and asks for their username, password, PIN, or full social security number. Additionally, LNI does not communicate with claimants over social media, and the only valid email addresses to contact Pennsylvania's Unemployment Compensation Service Center are uchelp@pa.gov and ucpua@pa.gov. LNI has been working with multiple partners, including law enforcement, the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, and the U.S. Attorney's Office to identify, prevent, and prosecute unemployment fraud. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro has announced several rounds of arrests since last summer, with the most recent arrest occurring on January 26. OAG investigations into cases of suspected unemployment fraud are ongoing. Right now, in Swarthmore, it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 1 degrees Celsius with partly cloudy skies. And we will also have impending winter storm. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbula and Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Myla, quick question. For the benefit of the audience, what are some of the telltale signs of fraud?
So, any Pennsylvanians who has not applied for unemployment benefits is most likely a victim of fraud. If they, let's say, they receive unrequested unemployment paperwork from LNI's office or unemployment compensation, and also if they receive unemployment benefit payments they did not apply for from the Pennsylvania Treasury, or if they receive 1099-G tax form for 2020 indicating they were paid unemployment benefits. So those are the signs, Ace.
I see. Thank you so much, Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Up next, updates from New Jersey, Ohio, California, and Arkansas. Eagle News America will return shortly.
Jean Kylie, abangan niyo po ako sa Letters and Music ngayong darating na linggo, Feb 21, 1 to 2 p.m. dito lamang sa Net 25.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Sinuli ko na yun eh.
Wala nga sa amin ang kawali.
Nasa inyo na iniwan ko doon sa bahay mo. Ano gagawin natin? Nandito yung kawali.
Ilabas niyo yung kawali mo.
Ako ang gagawin ng bagong OIC habang wala ka dito sa barangay. Di ba, kuya?
Ha? Ah! Ang sabi, papalit ko ang gera para sa World War III dahil sa kawaling yun!
Wala na ko sa bahay.
Papatin! Tinutulakan yung butas ko, oh!
Grabe naman kayo sa akin!
Sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Dito sa UNLAD, di kami mauubusan ng paraan sa pagbibigay ng hanap buhay.
Malaking tulong sa akin. Dahil po dito makapagtatapos po ako ng aking pag-aaral.
Malaking tulong po ito, lalo na po sa panahon po natin ngayon.
Hindi kaila sa atin na ang UNLAD International ay naglagay ng iba't ibang pagkakakitaan ng tao.
Kaalaman.
Tuturuan namin kayo gumawa ng mochi.
Mas bulky yung katawan nila compare sa mga Anglo-Nubians.
Because if I propagate that, I can sell it the same price.
Ito naman po ay palomino. Compact din po ito ang katawan niyan.
Inspirasyon.
I'm gonna have to recreate nature in our house.
Gumawa kami ng silya din, gawa din sa basura.
Nagbigay sa akin ng pagkakataon para bibigyan ko ng magandang buhay yung nanay ko.
At pagtuturo ng iba't ibang paraan para kumita tungo sa pag-unlad.
Tuturo sa programang ito ang mga hanap buhay na maaari nilang gawin sa bahay lang.
So lahat na oportunidad na pwedeng may tulong through this program ay talagang malaki pong may tutulong.
Lahat ng mga program ng tulad ng sa inyo na makakatulong sa kaalaman, kinabukasan, pagkabuhayan ng mga kababayan natin. Huwag sana kayo mapagod at magsawa. It's a blessing. It's a big help.
Ako po, si Robin Padilla. At ito po ang unlad. Kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
Kinabukasan ay umuunlad, may kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
Another season that showcased the best Filipino artists and our very own original Filipino music.
Malayo pa ang umaga. Ang sabi ko'y hoy, hoy, hoy. Doon ay kaya kong ipunin lahat ng bituin.
Himig.
Ang OPM, ang original Filipino music.
Watching Eagle News America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey is extending the state's public health emergency. In Sicklerville, Mayan Manzano-Guerzon has this story and more.
Thank you, Ace. Governor Phil Murphy today signed Executive Order number 222. The order extends the public health emergency that was declared on March 9, 2020 through Executive Order number 103. Under the Emergency Health Powers Act, a declared public health emergency expires after 30 days unless renewed. The governor also gave an update on the latest total of vaccinations administered in the state. Take a look.
I'm signing an executive order extending the public health emergency for another 30 days. As we have noted many times before, unless it's extended, these emergencies expire actually after 30 days. I want to, in particular on this extension, emphasize, Judy, you would want me to do this, that among other important measures, the Department of Health's ability to regulate the distribution of the vaccine is linked to the declaration of a public health emergency. Failing to extend the public health emergency risks compromising the department's ability to prioritize high-risk individuals, promote adequate staffing at vaccination sites, and ensure that residents are receiving the correct second dose of their vaccine, among other important steps. So today's action means that we can continue our ongoing COVID-19 mitigation efforts while also vaccinating New Jersey residents as quickly and as safely as possible. Now, moving to our vaccination efforts, the dashboard is showing, Judy, I've got 1,470,941 administered doses as of this morning. So far of that amount, just about 1,060,000 New Jerseyans have received at least their first dose. Cracking the 1 million dose threshold was a significant accomplishment, and as of this morning, more than 412,000 New Jersey residents have also received their second doses and are now fully vaccinated. Each day, these numbers move upward by several tens of thousands. It is consistent progress. We know there remain many, many residents who want to be included in these numbers but aren't yet because of the scarcity of appointments due to the scarcity of vaccines.
Thank you, Mayan. Meanwhile, according to NJ.com, with the latest February snowstorm moving closer, the National Weather Service has upgraded its winter storm watches to winter storm warnings in 12 counties across New Jersey and has issued winter weather advisories in the rest of the state. The far-reaching winter storm, which started in the deep south near Texas on Wednesday and is slowly working its way towards the mid-Atlantic region, is expected to dump as much as 6 to 9 inches of snow and sleet across a wide swath of New Jersey from early Thursday morning through Friday afternoon, along with a thin layer of ice in some areas. Meanwhile, for New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the DOH has reported another 3,786 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 673,108. Sadly, we are also reporting 92 new deaths, pushing the total to 20,343 fatalities. Despite mass vaccinations happening across the country, there are still a number of individuals skeptical about the efficacy of the COVID-19 jab. In Ohio, the Department of Health will be holding virtual town halls to address this issue and educate more communities about the safety of these vaccines. With us tonight's Eagle News correspondent Rani Bayuga in Parisburg. Rani.
Thank you, Ace. The Ohio Department of Health will be holding virtual town hall meetings to help educate specific minority communities on the safety and effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine. These meetings will be led by local medical professionals and community leaders to better inform members of their communities by providing them with trusted resources and facts to help them understand the importance of getting vaccinated. Governor Mike DeWine tweeted, like the way any delivery is tracked, vaccine shipments will be monitored as they are shipped and administered across the country. However, the notion that these shots will contain tracking devices implanted into Ohioans is false. There are many interesting myths that are spreading, including on where the mRNA used for vaccine will change a person's genetic makeup. For those who would like to ask questions or find out more about these misinformation, Ohioans are encouraged to call their Department of Health Center, which are open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 833-427-5634 or visit coronavirus.ohio.gov. The first set of town hall meetings will be held on Facebook Live and YouTube. Facebook, you will look for the Ohio Department of Health Facebook page, as well as their YouTube channel. And you may also visit the coronavirus.ohio.gov websites for further details. The first scheduled meetings will be Monday, February 22nd for African American Ohioans, Tuesday, February 23 for Hispanic Latino Ohioans, Monday, March 1st for Asian American and Pacific Islander Ohioans, Tuesday, March 2, 6:30 p.m., rural Ohioans. Ohio will also implement a scheduling system. Governor Mike DeWine announced yesterday they have developed a scheduling website where people can go to check and validate their appointments for their vaccinations. The Ohio Department of Health is now coordinating with vaccine providers to enroll them into the system. Ohio opted out of using the system developed by the federal government and chose to build their own. 40 other states have also opted out of the federal government's scheduling system. Governor Mike DeWine says, once most participating providers have signed up, the next phase will be to make the site live for those seeking to be vaccinated. Our goal is for Ohioans to have a positive customer experience when we launch the site to make appointments. COVID-19 key indicators. Currently, the total number of reported cases of COVID-19 is now up to 925,350. As of the last 24 hours, an additional 3,207 were added. The number of total deaths is now up to 11,793, and in the last 24 hours, 98 were added. Hospitalizations at 47,853 in total, and ICU admissions at 6,869. From Perrysburg, Ohio, Eagle News, Ronnie Bayuga. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Ronnie. How were vaccinations affected by the snowstorm?
Well, Ace, we got quite a bit of snow, and even for me, in our area here in Perrysburg, Ohio, we generally don't get that much snow, but we got, there were spots in my house that were like 2-foot drifts. So obviously there were a lot of delays rescheduling of appointments for for people's vaccinations. And now also the delivery of vaccines into Ohio were also delayed 1 to 2 days. So as soon as they are delivered here, Ohio also processes them so that they can be distributed to the multiple sites. So that's another 2 hours before that gets delivered to the sites. So overall, Ohio has now vaccinated over 1.3 million people in Ohio. So the progress is still going a little slow because of the shortages, but things are going well.
Well, hopefully, Rani, everything will be back to normal following the schedules after this snowstorm. Thank you so much, Rani Bayuga, Parisburg, Ohio. Eagle News America will return shortly. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Who will join the Sirens sa ating Grand Finals lineup? Dito lang yan sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Dance Edition.
America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. The state of California opens more mass vaccination sites as it distributes 5 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. In Sacramento, Bureau Chief Angel Membrere reports.
Thank you. Over 5 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in the state of California, and that number continues to increase. Just a few days ago, California hit a new record of the amount of doses distributed in one day, and that number is expected to increase as mass vaccination sites continue to open across the state. California has set a goal to administer over 1 million doses on a weekly basis to start, with the expectation to increase that number as more access and quantities become available in the state. Here's Governor Newsom with more.
Just want to give you a quick update on where we are with vaccinations. Almost 5.8 million doses now have been administered. We saw about 257,000 just in the last day. The goal is to do over 1 million each and every week in the short run, and as supplies come in, build a system out that will provide upwards of 4 million doses to be administered each and every week, and we're well on our way to doing that.
Positivity rates of COVID-19 continue to trend in the right direction just over the past month, and hospitalizations have decreased as well. Governor Newsom shares more on the progress from the state of California.
There's also some good news as it relates to positivity rate and case rates. Just consider 1 month ago today, our positivity rate was 13%. It's down to 4.1% today. 1 month ago today, 34,000 cases of COVID were reported, now 9,400. Real progress there as well in the hospitals, in our ICUs, and this is foundational. We're down now 37% over the last 2 weeks in hospitalizations and 31% in ICUs. We're going to see those death numbers continue to go down as well. So I say this with absolute conviction. Light truly is at the end of the tunnel.
Today, Governor Newsom spoke at a press conference which was held at a new community vaccination site at Cal State LA. He reminded California residents of the non-pharmaceutical interventions and precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Let's listen.
We are moving in the right direction, including in terms of the administration and doses of vaccine, in terms of getting people back to work, and including getting our kids back to school. So those are objective, empirical truths, and I hope over the course of the next number of weeks, people will absorb this different reality with more optimism, but also mindful and sober of these mutations, these variants, mindful and sober of our work to do on equity, mindful and sober on the constraints of vaccination supply, mindful and sober of the imperative to maintain our vigilance as it relates to non-pharmaceutical interventions, and wearing face coverings and making sure we continue to socially and physically distance.
In Sacramento, California, Angel Membreri, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Joe, Arkansas is expecting an additional 4 to 8 inches of snow as a winter storm warning has been issued in the state. In Little Rock, Eagle News correspondent Don Omar Cuevas reports.
Hello again, this is Don Omar Cuevas reporting from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm snowed in. I shoveled the driveway a couple of days ago, but the snow came back today, and it looks like I need to do even more shoveling. But fortunately, Arkansas hasn't completely lost power yet, unlike the situation in Texas where they're experiencing lots of blackouts. If you're watching this from Texas, stay safe and power through. No pun intended. The National Weather Service has issued a storm warning in Arkansas until the 18th of February, with 4 to 8 inches of snow on top of the snow we already had a couple days ago. The NWS also says that a large portion of Arkansas will experience wind chills in the single digits in temperature, and the heavy snowfall will make travel dangerous, and many roofs of buildings may be compromised. Speaking from personal experience, Arkansas hasn't had heavy snow like this for several years now, so part of me is excited that we're finally getting a lot of snow. However, I'm also a bit worried for people who have to travel often. On the 15th of February, Entergy asked its customers in Arkansas to do their best to conserve power in the event of these winter storms. They stated that some ways to conserve power are to lower the thermostat temperature to 68 degrees, use energy-efficient fans or portable fans like this one to circulate warm air, and to open blinds, drapes, and curtains to let in light and warmth from the sun, rather than using the lights in the house during daytime. In other news, Governor Asa Hutchinson has closed state buildings due to the snowstorms. State employees are being encouraged to work virtually from home, and Arkansans are being encouraged to utilize virtual services to visit state offices. Governor Hutchinson also stated on Twitter that energy production is being strained by this weather, and that Arkansans should stay warm, conserve energy, and limit travel if possible. As always, I hope you're staying safe. Make sure to do what you can to stay warm. And if you have to drive somewhere, drive slowly and carefully. Don't overestimate your car's ability to travel through snow and ice. In Little Rock, Arkansas, Don Omar Cuevas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in the studio.
Texans struggle to stay warm as the winter storm leaves millions without power. In Frisco, Eagle News correspondent Nenita Manawis got some reactions from residents about how they are coping with the situation.
Thank you and good day to everyone. Here in North Texas, the National Weather Service, or NWS Fort Worth, has announced on its Twitter account Wednesday afternoon the winter storm warning has been trimmed back to east of Texas and no longer include the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But while the worst of the weather may have been behind North Texas, the challenges are far from over. Here are some residents sharing their stories.
I live with my parents who are both in their late 80s and not having power and heater for days during this very cold weather is not only challenging but very frustrating. My mom has been unable to take care of her breathing treatments in the last couple of days as we didn't have power. Good thing I stuck up with bread, so at least we had something to eat while the power was off. I am also thankful that I have friends who live nearby. They give us some food as well. I have lived in Garland, Texas for 26 years now, and I have never seen a severe cold weather and power outages that lasted for days.
My internet and telephone line were working until Monday noon, and then I realized that my internet is down and my telephone line is not working. Luckily, my cell phone was working, so I notified my family and friend that I lost internet connection as well as telephone line in my home. So I thought, let me enjoy this downtime. Actually, I was not getting time to read a book on conflict management. So I leverage this time to read that book. Moreover, I also focused on sleeping. So that's what I did. And my message to Texans that be positive and stay safe and warm. Thank you.
We are here in Jefferson Park, usually known as Gandhi Park. If you look at it, it's completely occupied with the snow. Usually it used to be pretty crowded because we have a lot of Indian community across the Gandhi Park. But if you look at the situation here, even the lake was completely frozen out. And we are really in a bad situation with power outages. And a few communities were really having the broken pipes as well. It's really bad to know that. So, and few restaurants were really open and really doing a great job here in Irving. So if you are out of food or something like that, so try to be warm by having some food and try to be safe and take care.
Hi, I'm Sean Winters. I live pretty close by. We're just enjoying this weather. Lately our power's been in and out a little bit of water issues, but ultimately we've been having a good time with the kiddos, just trying to make the most of it. Unable to build a snowman, but we're gonna go try and sled and just enjoy this weather as much as we can. Hope everyone is safe, and see you on the slopes.
I hope everyone is keeping safe and staying warm. Reporting from Frisco, Texas, I'm Anita Minawis, Eagle News. Live in interesting times.
It's good to hear how some people are still staying positive despite the damage this historic winter storm is bringing to Texas. According to local media, as of 6 p.m. Wednesday, more than 20 storm-related deaths have been registered so far, including in traffic accidents in Texas, Kentucky, and Missouri. According to NBC News, in hardest-hit Texas, where freezing conditions prompted utility companies to implement rotating blackouts, a woman and a girl died from carbon monoxide poisoning after using a car to generate heat. In Panama, several shelters are undergoing investigation for reports of child abuse. In Ciudad de Panama, Eagle News correspondent May Davila has the story.
The investigation that uncovered physical, psychological, and sexual abuse that children and adolescents have experienced for more than 4 years in shelters run by religious organizations, foundations, and NGOs under the supervision of the Secretaría Nacional de Niñez, Adolescencia y Familia, or CENIAF, came into the hands of the Attorney General's Office of the Nation today. The executive report of the investigation confirmed that during the last 4 years, some 12 shelters have had the existence of concrete evidence of abuse, violence, and physical mistreatment of children and adolescents in shelters, especially those who have some condition of intellectual disability. More than 14 shelters are involved in the report, and more are pending. The said events have been occurring since 2015. Also included in the complaint is a document from the United Nations Children's Fund that in May 2018 made recommendations to Panama to make corrections about the administration of the shelters. The report also showed irregularities in the administrative part, such as quality of the professionals located in the shelters, and the handling of the location of minors. In the midst of all the scandal, last Friday, the Policía Nacional responded to the call for the rescue of a minor who was on the roof of the Colegio Primer Ciclo de Tocumen, where she was trying to escape from the Centro de Atención Integral shelter, Fundación Chilibre, Panamá. CENIAF reported that the minor had been assisted by the institution's technical team of psychologists and social workers and taken to a protection center with adequate supervision. As a result of the case, the family section of the metropolitan area of the Ministerio Público opened an ex officio investigation for alleged commission of the crime of child abuse. Desde Ciudad de Panamá, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Michael Jordan is a name always included in conversations about the GOAT or the greatest of all time. He's an NBA legend and his influence goes beyond the basketball court. Our very own Michael Hudson, has a report on the birthday of MJ.
Thanks a lot. So we celebrate today by far the most popular athlete to ever grace this earth and considered by many to be the GOAT or greatest of all time, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Today he celebrates his 58th birthday. Known for his flashy moves and jaw-dropping dunks on the basketball court, Jordan put the game of basketball on the world stage, especially when it came to his famous Jordan shoes. His supernatural talent, competitiveness, and hard-to-copy swagger captivated the 90s in a way the world had never seen before. And his greatness inspired many future athletes, such as LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, who admitted time and time again that MJ was their inspiring force to make them who they are today. All of this happening while dominating the league. Through 15 seasons in the NBA, the superstar won 6 NBA championships from 1991 to 1993 and again in 1996 to 1998. 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 5 NBA MVPs, and 14 All-Star Game trips. In 10 of his 15 NBA seasons, Jordan led the league in scoring, averaging 30.1 points per game through his entire career. After retiring in 1998, he had a minority ownership with the NBA franchise, the Washington Wizards, and made another comeback, playing 2 more years with the same team. Currently, he's the current owner of the NBA team Charlotte Hornets and officially became the first billionaire athlete, crossing the mark a couple years ago. With that being said, happy birthday to the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Michael Hudson reporting, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Happy birthday. 2 of the hot teams in the NBA went head-to-head recently, and the matchup did not disappoint. The talent-filled Brooklyn Nets traveled to Arizona to try to end the 6-game win streak of the Phoenix Suns. Tenny Sumage reports.
It was an epic return back to Arizona for Steve Nash and James Harden. Nash spent 10 of his 18 seasons in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns, while Harden played college basketball for Arizona State. The Bears' heroic performance helped the Nets rally from a 24-point deficit to beat the Suns without the help of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
Booster, especially, missing Kevin and Kai and finding a way to make up for, I can't remember, what was it, 24-point deficit. Just showed a lot of character, a lot of heart, and that's, as a coaching staff, that just makes you proud.
One man, 2 men go down, next man up. And tonight was a perfect example of that. Got down 20-something at halftime, and we didn't give up. We didn't quit. We kept fighting and cut the deficit down and kept fighting and give ourselves a chance to win at the end of the game. And things went our way.
The Red Hot Suns had their 6-game winning streak snapped, and Coach Monty Williams breaks down what happened to his team in the second half.
The ball movement wasn't there.
The urgency just wasn't there, and we gave a team life. One of the best offensive teams in the league gave them life in the second half. And so it wasn't just the last 4 minutes. The whole second half was not the kind of defense that we played.
The Nets will face LeBron James and the LA Lakers on Thursday, while the Suns will kick off their road trip in New Orleans to face Zion Williamson and the Pelicans on Friday. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Tenny. As always, at the end of every broadcast, we do not forget to recognize the efforts of our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers by giving them a round of applause. Modern heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.